Right, so this is the job we got today. We are changing this kitchen tap. It drips. I suspect it's going to be coming from the hot side, but we can't track down what tap it is and get new cartridges to put in, so just going to replace the whole tap. That's the new tap, okay, which you will see as we go on. So first things first, need to isolate water supplies, which are in these two holes here. There's boiler fix valves behind there, so we isolate that, and then yeah, and then we get to disconnect it from the connections through there, and then remove the actual tap, which if I spin this around, you'll see what's underneath. Okay, so that's what we got under there. You can see a brass nut, that's the only thing that needs to be undone. And then the whole tap will lift out once we've disconnected it from the water supplies there. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Let's crack on and do it. Right, so first things first, let's get those water supplies disconnected. Not sure how much of this you're actually going to see, but basically we're just going to unwind this nut. I'm going to stabilise this one with a pair of grips and unwind this nut here. There'll be a little bit of water left in it, but the supplies are closed off below, so it's just a little bit, and I've got an old rag down to catch any water that comes off, so never easy to get to these things. So as I say, I don't know how much you're going to see because it's a tight space and my fat head and hands are going to be in there, but basically let's stabilise that and undo that. Right, so now we've just unwind that. Rather than let the water run down behind, I'm going to unwind that, and then I will poke the flexi back there so it just drops onto my rag, if I can get it off. Let's loosen that. It would look like there's quite a bit of water in there, but it's only what's in the pipe, so don't be alarmed by it. And just as I say that, there's no water in it. The main reason is I have got the tap turned off at the moment, so it's acting like you've got your thumb over the end of a straw. So let's put this little watering can there. Turn the tap on. You can hear that running into there. Open the cold one as well. So that's the hot side we just opened up. Okay. There's a little bit dripping, but that's okay. Right, next one. Do the same for this. Stabilise that joint. Okay, that's loosened off. As with a lot of plumbing, you get a bit of a yoga workout when you're doing it. You'd think I'd be in great shape, but no. My body's broken. That might have something to do with 20 odd years of rugby. Didn't help. Come on, you're coming. There we go. Oh, I've got a little fluffy friend here. Yeah. What are you? What are you? Little cocker, eh? Little cocker spaniel. Beautiful. Oh, you shuffle back there. make a fuss of you in a little while. Right, now I've got to find the right tap spanner size to go on that brass nut. Right, so that's the underneath of the tap. I've got this little tap spanner, so I'm going to put that over the thread and onto the nut and just loosen that. I don't know how much of this you'll see because yeah, my fat hands need to be in there, but just undo that. Once it gets moving, it should. Right, needs a little bit more with the there we go. There she comes. You have to do most of this blind because I'm not a contortionist. I can't get my whole body and neck swiveled round at 180 to look underneath. So a lot of it you've just got to do by feel. But if you are a contortionist and you can get underneath, lay on your back and do it, then brilliant. I'm really happy for you. But my body won't allow me to do that. It's, so let's just keep unwinding that until it comes off. Yeah, I think that's off. Now to lift out the tap. Take that off underneath the clamp. Right, so once all that's off underneath, this tap will just lift out. Got the shroud there. Take the flexies out. I usually just leave this in the sink in case there's a bit of water to come off it. Just lay that in there. Then we've got to make up the new tap. So this comes in a nice protective blanket. Dun, 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 look at this. There she is. What a beauty. And that is just going to sit on there. There we go. So let's put the protective sock there. Let's put those there. Let's get all this gubbins out of the way. Let's put that down there. Right, so here's the new flexies that go in. Let's just break these out of the bag. And here's all the bits and pieces, the clamp and the brass nut and threaded bar that goes into the bottom of the tap, along with the O-ring. Right, so got this threaded bar here. Just take the nut off, and on this one, I don't know if you can see it, you got your threaded bar. This bit here, the shortened bit, is the bit that goes into the bottom of the tap. Sometimes, and this has got a posi screw head that you can wind in with a screwdriver. It doesn't need to go in really tight though. So here we go. This will just go into here. I'll just put it in by finger tight. Doesn't have to go in tight. Doesn't have to be raunched in. Now your tap one. Sometimes these come in with a blue and red striped down as in hot and cold. Just look on the tap. What's the hot side? So H there for the hot. C there for the cold, but these aren't colour coded, so either doesn't matter which one goes in to which side. And again, when these go in, you don't put these in with a spanner. You just pinch them up because they're sealing on an O-ring, a rubber O-ring. So just pinch that up. That's all it has to be. If you over tighten it, you can damage the O-ring or the braided flex itself. Go, that's that in. Right, now on this tap you've got this rubber O-ring here which goes around this seal on the bottom of the tap, which creates a rubber seal on the base of the sink, so the no water escapes down that hole and underneath the sink when water gets splashed on it or water runs over it. So just push this rubber O-ring into the bottom of the tap. Also stops it from spinning around on the surface. Now that's the tap all made up, ready to go through. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this hole up a little bit. Get myself a Wonder Wipe. Let's just give it a little spruce up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but again, it's nice to get things as clean as possible before you put a nice shiny new tap in. There we go. Just put that there. Oh, it's a bit of kitchen roll down around here. A piece of that, just dry it off. Right, so in case you can't see it when we're back underneath the sink, when this is through into the through the sinkhole, this is what clamps up underneath it. So what happens, this bit, your two flexes go in there and the hole goes over the threaded bar. So it goes over, this has all got to be done under the sink, bearing in mind. So the rubber seal goes on first, and then the metal one, same shape. It's not always exactly the same shape, but usually they are. Does exactly the same. And then your brass nut, if I can find where I put it, there it is. Your brass nut then goes onto the threaded bar, and you tighten that up, and that's what tightens it down to the sink. So I don't know how much you're going to see of that when we go back underneath, but that's just explaining it to you. Right, so pop these back into the hole, making sure that you got the hot and cold around the right way. Hot's always on the left. Okay, so that sits in there nicely. Right, now we're going to move back underneath. With this nut, just make sure you've got the right size tap spanner, so you haven't got to be fumbling around looking for the right size. Right, so now we're back underneath the sink, and as luck would have it, this nut is the same size as the old one, so I can use the same tap spanner for that. Right. Just by feel, that feels good to me. So that's what we're kind of looking like at the moment. We've got that on. It's the two braided flexies are in the right position. So I'm just going to keep doing that up and tighten it up while stabilising the tap on top of the sink. Right, once you've got it finger tight, I'm going to grab my tap spanner and do it up as tight as I can with my hand before I get the metal bar onto it to tighten it even more. Right, so I've got that hand tight, but what I'm going to do now is just get this metal bar here. Just gives me a bit more leverage. Start to really tighten it up. Okay, so that feels pretty tight to me. Now you can see the bottom of what it looks like. Next stage is just going to be to connect up underneath, connect the water supplies up underneath there. So right, now where you got those two flexies poking down there, which are here, there we go, there's the two flexies. They have now got to get onto that pipework there. Now where those existing fittings are, this pipe's going to be so bent up and crimped if we put it onto there. So ideally you want to keep these flexies as straight as possible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this pipe a little bit lower down here, put a couple of these on, which are male iron to coppers. So this part goes onto the copper pipe with a bit of jointing compound tightened up, and then the flexi will then go onto this, because this has got a flat head on it there, so it's not tapered like the other end is, so that it won't cut into the flexi pipe, because it's only a rubber washer inside that flexi pipe. You don't want it cutting in, so you need this flat surface here to get onto it nicely. So I'm just going to cut those pipes down a little bit more, and then put these on, and then we'll be good to join up the tap and test it. So what I can do, just to work out a good height, is to get the end of the tap there and just, you can't really see that, can you? It's very difficult. This is to show you. I'm going to put that into there, give us a good idea of where we want to cut the pipe. So let's just put that in there loosely, and then that will show us. Okay, so we want to be cutting it. You're not going to be able to see this, but I'll try and lower the camera a bit so you can see when I cut it. So I've got to cut off pretty much about 7-8 inches of pipe there. Right, I'm going to get my pipe slice and just cut this down a little bit. Let's just pull that out the clip. There's a little bit of water there, but nothing to worry about. You'll get a little bit more water come out of this as we cut it, just the remainder of what's in there. Okay, so there's the water. That's that pipe there cut. Don't need that bit anymore. Now let's take this, what we call a male iron to copper, back off of there. Put the nut and olive over there. Get a little bit of jointing compound and just rub that around the top of there. Always good to use this. Don't use PTFE tape. It makes it look absolutely rotten and just gets in the way. This stuff's much better, much cleaner finish. Give it a little spin on there, just make sure it goes all the way around it. All right, let's do this nut up. I'm going to get my, tighten that up. Just make sure that's the right gauge. Right, let's pop that way around there. Pinch that tight. Okay, that's that one on. Now what we're going to do is just join that, screw that onto there. Now this is on a rubber washer, remember, so this is not something you've got to raunch up with a spanner. It's just got to be pinched. When I say pinched, get it finger tight. One thing that is always good to do is just stabilise just above the pipe there. Don't crimp it, don't squeeze it too tight, just stabilise it, because when you're spinning this nut, the direction you spin that, you're going to be unwinding it from the top of the tap, which you don't want to do. So just stabilise the pipe above the nut. There we go. And then we just pinch this up. There we go. No more than that. Now that's the hot side done. We now need to go on to the cold side. So I won't show you that because it's exactly the same process, but this one's harder to film, so there's no need to show you that bit. Right, so there they both are. They're both done up now. I'm glad I didn't film me doing the cold side, the other side, because it was that much more awkward and I was huffing and puffing a bit more. But there it is, it's done. Right, now we can turn the water supplies on, which are in the 2 holes down there. So let's get a screwdriver. Let's just move that over there. Don't let the old bleach get in the way. Right, so let's do the cold side first. There's that one on. And for the hot. Okay, so they're both turned on. And the moment of truth, here we go. Right, let's turn the tap on. See what we got here. Right, cold. Here it comes. Lovely. And the hot. There we go. That's all moving. The body's nice and straight. Double check underneath. Quite often, you know, you can be leaning on something, you can pull that down, disconnect it, create a gap here somewhere, and when you're testing it, if water come out, you think, oh, what's happened there? So yeah, just double check everything, run the tap, run it underneath, and just make sure everything stays dry. Check all joints. This one all looks good to me. Yeah, someone will call that a wrap, I think.